Hello friends, hope you are well. Welcome to this week's Dirt Report. It's going to be quite a different brand of news, kind of like a quick fire round without the fire and the quick, but definitely round. This week has been a pretty quiet week in the Australian technology scene, so we're hitting up the world scope for some interesting news with a hot take that no one asked for. Make sure to like this video if you did and subscribe if you want to support us. Let's go. If anyone is still watching TV, then you may have managed to catch a glimpse of Paul Fletcher at some point talking about some nonsense, and well, that nonsense was nonsensical, but had some gems. So, remotely on camera, using our high-tech national broadband network, Paul Fletcher's torso reminded people why he does what he does at the National Press Club in Canberra. What he was referring to is keeping big tech companies in line, specifically pointing out the recent whistleblower from Facebook. Fletcher said, "What we have seen over the past days in the statements from the Facebook whistleblower in the US congressional hearing and in associated media coverage is a reminder of the significance of these issues. It's not generally surprising to me, given that just about every change that we have sought to make in our time in government, there has been resistance from the tech giants." He was of course referring to the media bargaining code, especially the tantrums Google and Facebook made, then bowed and took it. After all, maybe a country still has a bit more power than a tech firm that controls communications for over 80% of the world's population. The other 20% use Reddit, so whatever. Fletcher added, "This is true of the news media bargaining code, true of the online safety legislation. It is true of the change we made a few years ago to remove the exemption from GST for transactions conducted online under a certain threshold. So now my online orders are a bit more expensive and the Murdoch media can live another day, so thanks Fletch. However, regulation of the big tech firm is a must, and this could lead to more changes in the future." On the call, Fletcher let loose on how the big tech firms resist regulation because of course it ruins their bottom line. He said, "I accept that governments need to think carefully about how to design the regulations in this new world, but that does not mean governments cannot or should not regulate. The digital behemoths will make all kinds of claims and threats when you impose the normal laws that apply to other businesses in your jurisdiction upon them. But ultimately, as our experience with the news media bargaining code has shown, the global digital giants will accept the rule of law if they are doing business in Australia. So hey, maybe one day Google and Facebook won't be able to sway elections. Until then, make sure to like this video." Windows 11 has been released. Too much fanfare and confused muscle memory for the entire generation of Windows users. No more do you navigate to the bottom left to press start, it is now in the middle, though you can move it to the far left if you fiddle around with the settings. With all that in mind, it has been a pretty smooth ride for this release. In fact, the issues people see are pretty minor in general, but there is one thing kicking people down while they are down, effectively only affecting AMD CPUs. In a recent notice published by AMD, the company called out two different issues that are affecting the performance of its CPUs in Windows 11. The first bug affects a CPU's L3 cache and can cause latency to increase by as much as 3 times, which can have major impacts on performance, especially in apps or games that rely heavily on cache and memory speeds. AMD claims the general performance hit from this bug is around 3 to 5%, though in some fast-paced esports games, AMD says performance can be reduced by as much as 10 to 15%. AMD also said the CPUs with more than 8 cores and a TDP above 65 watts could suffer even greater diminishing performance, while less powerful CPUs take a smaller hit. Of course, it's percentages. So if you're wondering why your PC is suddenly slower on Windows 11, you have your answer. The good thing is that Microsoft and AMD are working together on a patch, and it should arrive in the form of a Windows update very soon. So let's move on. Facebook, or Misinformation Bible as some would like to call it, and by some I mean just me because no one else calls it that, and I'm just trying to be clever. In any case, Facebook has had to change their marketplace terms and conditions to account for people selling protected Amazonian forests. Yes, you heard that right. The folks at Facebook have to put in a clause to stop people selling protected land on their marketplace. Inherently, selling land isn't an issue and they don't want people to stop doing that in particular, but while the T's and C's already had a clause saying you need to follow the laws and regulations of your country, it wasn't enough. So Facebook added a new one. Listings may not promote the buying of selling of animals or animal products or land in ecological conservation areas. Here is the best part. Someone was buying these lands, right? Well, the plots were frequently sold without any official land titles or designation ownership, so technically it was still just a scam. All this has been driven by the deforestation of the Amazon caused by the Brazilian cattle industry. But all this is also happening to Facebook, all while they had a massive outage, probably to delete incriminating evidence released by the whistleblower and leaked research it's all a bit strange. So hashtag save the Amazon forest, or maybe save Facebook? Finally, holograms will be a reality coming soon, TM, sort of. Well, reality is hard to come by if we're living in a simulation, but holograms have been popping up in all sorts of shapes and forms, but none were what we'll call a real hologram until at least soon. Trademarked. The company called Lightfield Lab is about to change that with their new technology called Solid Light. And Solid Light sounds like something straight out of Star Wars itself. The technology will try to create three-dimensional objects in the physical space of the real world with pure light. The way they say they can achieve this is by causing waves of light to intersect at a specific point in space and time. Continuum, not a continuum. The point of interaction would be visible to your eye, meaning it will literally float in midair. To do this, however, the company has built a 28-inch diagonal panel that has 2.5 billion pixels. Now, a billion pixels, or at least 2.5 of them, is a lot. So for comparison, a 4K TV has 8.2 million pixels. I'm pretty sure that there aren't enough graphics cards on the market right now to even run this panel, but time will tell. Apple, you crazy kid, you won. You said it yourself, and yet you're not content, not happy, and have to fight. Oh, damn it, Apple. What have you done now? Well, when there are billions of dollars on the line, anything is possible. This week, Apple has filed an appeal ruling in its major trial against Epic Games. This was, of course, after Apple called the last ruling a resounding victory, as Judge Gonzalez Rogers ruling in favor of Apple in 9 of the 10 claims Epic brought against the company. It did lose in one important way. The judge found that Apple violated California's anti-steering rules and demanded that Apple let developers link to outside payment systems. This new rule would have gone live in December, but due to the appeal, it may be pushed out. As part of the appeal, Apple is asking for a stay to prevent the company from having to implement the new anti-steering rules, arguing that it will allow Apple to protect consumers and safeguard its platform while the company works through the complex and rapidly evolving legal, technological, and economic issues. Apple says that links and buttons to alternate payment mechanisms are fraught with risk. Users who click on payment links embedded in an app, particularly one distributed through the curated Apple Store, will expect to be led to a web page where they can securely provide their payment information, email addresses, and other personal information. And this might not happen if they have these random links in the system. And I have to agree, there are so many spam apps in the App Store anyway, it's not very curated, I would disagree. And already, adding the ability to charge people via dodgy payment methods could be pretty disastrous. For now, it has been delayed pending the outcome of the appeal. Let me know what you think. Is Apple protecting the bottom line or your wallet? And finally, for fans of Grand Theft Auto, the rumors are over. It has been finally confirmed GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas are getting a remake. Finally, GTA 5 can be put to rest. Friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Make sure to like this video if you did, and subscribe to support us and get notified of new videos in the future. Thanks and bye!